All right, my friends, welcome back to Frogboy X1 Gaming. I'm Andrew, and today I wanted to kind of do like a review for the 5060 Ti 16 gigabyte that I bought a few days ago. I know that everything's been kind of hectic. I haven't been able to really put out a lot of content lately, but this is the Asus Prime OC model. This one here has obviously the 16 gigs of VRAM. Oh man, dude, I don't have my wide freaking my wide lens on there. So okay, I'd picked up the 5060. Okay, this is just the regular 8 gig model. This is the Aero model from Gigabyte. Very, very nice. And then I picked up the 5060 Ti, obviously, so I could, you know, compare it to the 9060 XT. And guys, I have to level with you. Kind of have to be honest with you guys about how I'm really feeling about this 5060 Ti. And, you know, because I've had 3 days with this thing. I've actually sat down and played games with it. I have, you know, experienced it. Like, I feel like if this was a GPU that I bought, if I went out, I mean, obviously I did buy it, but if this was the GPU, say this was my budget, this is what I needed to buy, this was what, you know, the option that I would put in my PC is like pretend like it was going to be my daily driver or whatever. I have to review things like that. Like I have to put my mind in, I have to put myself in a state of mind that like, okay, this is the thing that I bought, you know, get myself kind of psyched and excited about, you know, like, damn, I got 16 gigs of VRAM, I got DLSS4, I got multi-frame generation. I have to psych myself up for that. You know, I have to like kind of put myself in like all right, this is the experience. And that's what I do. Pretty much with the products that I get nowadays. You guys will see my, you know, my review for the 9060 XT tomorrow. So, but I'm not under any embargo or anything for the 5060 Ti because I bought it with my own money. So for the last few days, I put it in there, and this is, you got to imagine, like, this is already after experiencing the 5060 base model, and a lot of that transfers over to the 5060 Ti. Obviously, it is a more a little. It's definitely better. I feel like with this one though, because you know, obviously I'm not constrained by like VRAM or some of the other things. So I felt a lot more liberty to like really kind of crank things. And once I started cranking things, I started to feel like, wait a minute, man, the 5060 was giving me a better experience. And only because when you actually go, say you're jumping into all your games, and I know a lot of us do this because it's PC, man. We want to see the games at their very best. And I've noticed over the last few years that I've been PC gaming that is probably the worst way to experience gaming on PC, is to just crank everything up and let it run and let it go. And I was saying this a lot with the 5060 review is because depending on like the resolution you're playing on, 1440p 4K, you do get a lot more clarity and stuff like that. But say you're playing on like 1080p, you don't necessarily have enough pixels to really reproduce that really fine detail that you get out of something like 4K. So lowering your settings, you know, back to like high, medium even, and playing that game, the experience changes. Okay, so if you say we're on the 5060, okay, we're constrained by our 8 gigabytes or whatever. You know, it's easier to explain with the 5060 because, you know, it's more rooted right at 1080p. I wouldn't recommend buying that card for anything more. So if you jump in there in Ultra and you start playing your game, and just pretend we don't have like DLSS or anything like that. So we jump into our game, we start playing, and we're like, you know, our frame rate's kind of shaky. We're getting stutters. We're getting, you know, the normal issues that you would get with trying to play a game using essentially these newer games. What is 4K textures or 4K settings or 4K assets, or, you know, just things that are made for higher end GPUs. and then you turn it down to like high, and your performance, like in some games, I'm not even joking, legitimately damn near doubled performance just going to high settings, you know, from ultra. And so if you even take that back just a little bit more to like medium, and you're on your 1080p monitor, you will notice that the trade-off that you get in terms of significantly more performance versus details that you probably, I mean, I know you can see them, like, don't get me wrong, like, obviously, if you crank it up to ultra, you throw it at 1080p, yes, you can see more. Like, you can see more. But more's not always better at 1080p. When you, so especially, so say you're at 45 frames a second on ultra settings, but on medium settings, you're at like 140 frames, okay? I know that's exaggerated. It definitely says like you're adding like a whole 100 frames just by going down a couple settings rungs. Well, the difference that you get from like 45 frames, it's a little bit choppy, not super choppy, but it is kind of choppy when you're playing. Like you get like this, it almost seems, it is choppy, but it seems more like a micro stutter or something. And so it's like consistently like distracting your eyes. So you're always like, you're not seeing everything. When you go to like 140 frames, you see more. Like everything is just so much clearer. It just looks so much better. So yes, you're giving up some certain detail, but you're gaining so much more fluidity as well as clarity just by having a higher frame rate. So when I look at what the 5060 Ti does, okay, because like I was saying, you know, I'm getting in there and I'm cranking up the settings because I got the VRAM headroom and stuff like that. I was starting to notice that my experience wasn't as fluid as it was with the 5060. So while you can turn all of that up, and you've obviously got access to multi-frame generation, you have DLSS, all of these things, even those factors, I mean, the multi-frame rate, the MFG 4X really does kind of contribute to a better experience overall, because it essentially allows you to have that fluidity of motion on the screen that you would be getting from just lowering your settings and still having your settings cranked up. But I still feel like the overall experience, you know, playing at like 1080p or like 1440p ultra wide or something like that with the 5060 Ti, I was noticing that my experience in Assassin's Creed Shadows on the 5060 with optimized settings, or not necessarily optimized, but just selecting a lower preset, felt more consistent than it did on the 5060 Ti with max settings. So I guess is what I'm saying with this part is pretty much probably still optimize your settings a little bit. Don't just shoot it right to ultra, because ultra settings on the 5060, even though this is a more powerful card than the 56, just the base 5060, the 5060 Ti is a little bit more powerful, but it still has the same, I think it's pretty close to the same power budget still. Still only got the 8 lanes of PCIe Gen 3, but you do have the more VRAM, so you can really crank up the settings. But that might not always be the best experience. Maybe try going down one rung, you know, like very high or something like that. And you know, when I was doing that, when I was lowering my settings, because you know, my experience started to improve like it did before, because we are pretty much going up from, I did a little bit of playing around on the 5060 Ti on 1080p, but most of my testing for that has been ultra wide 3440 by 1440p and some 4K stuff. Yes, you can jump on, you know, the beauty of MFG 4X, DLSS4 performance mode, stuff like that. See, you really can get a 4K experience out of this card. And I made some videos. I showed you guys the performance that I was getting on something like the Oblivion remake, as well as like Cyberpunk 2077. Being able to actually play on a 4K display and still be able to get that clarity, but still having, like the settings of like performance DLSS and being able to run that with multi-frame generation. The multi-frame generation in games like Cyberpunk, because it's actually tuned and it's a transformer model, it really does smooth out and even out the experience. Games like Alan Wake 2 and other games that have built-in multi-frame generation support for them, absolutely incredible. Playing games like Alan Wake 2, with the new neural texture rendering thing that Nvidia has, that, oh my gosh, man, some of these things are so transformative in your experience that I feel comfortable. I mean, even though the 5060 Ti is a little bit more money, it definitely can deliver an experience that will absolutely blow you away, if you let it. You have to let it, though. I'm not saying that you should run out and buy this card. Like, you're gonna have to really, do the best, do your best research, but I don't really see a lot of other people out there really showing you the benefits of what multi-frame generation can do, and it's kind of sad, because it really does, man. I don't know. Like, you could go back from a few months ago and you could listen to the content I was making about Nvidia, and everything was just like, damn, I felt ripped off. I felt like the experience wasn't that great. It wasn't worth investing in the Nvidia experience over what the freaking AMD experience was, just because it just didn't feel like it was a big enough improvement. And that was because I would buy games and I would jump on there day one. I'm a day one game player, so I'd jump on there, I'd crank up the settings, and I would just start going. This generation, I decided early on that it's like, look, man, I'm going to try to show you the best that these cards can do. I've done that with the 5070 Ti. I've done that with the 9070 XT. I want you to enjoy your purchase. That's the whole thing. These cards are getting more expensive, and the improvements that these technologies are actually bringing to you, I believe that if I can find a way to enjoy them, I guarantee you're going to be able to do that too. Now, I know that a lot of my videos are talking about this stuff, and it's probably going to continue that way as we progress through this generation. That's because it's improved my experience to a point where it's like, wow, PC gaming is really good. I mean, it was good before, and obviously, looking at ultra settings versus PlayStation 5 Pro or Xbox Series X, absolutely, you're going to be blown away. But like, nobody on the planet up till now could have been like, yeah, man, it's always smooth, and because it wasn't. Like, if you just, I guess you no longer have to just throw lots of money and power at making your experiences better now. Like, this is actually pretty dang good. So 5060 Ti, 16 gigs of VRAM. Obviously, you do have, you are limited on your bandwidth, but like, you still are able to legitimately play a lot of games at 4K. I was able to do the new Indiana Jones at 4K on this card. You could play it at 4. I mean, we're talking like very low, I mean, not very low settings, like medium settings or whatever, and then being able to run that with DLSS4 and, like performance DLSS and stuff like that. Like, yes, you can play this on a 4K display and have a playable frame rate with multi-frame generation and like performance level DLSS. It's still clean. It still looks sharp. Like, it legitimately looks like a I would say, well, see, games like Indiana Jones look really good though, okay? Obviously, like the Doom Dark Ages and stuff like that, especially with DLSS4. So it's like, when you get in here and you play these games, it looks significantly better than what it does on a console, and it's still playable, and it feels so fluid because you have the access to multi-frame generation. So when I look at what the 5060 Ti delivers for the amount of money that I paid for it, I'm not gonna. I don't know if I would say it's a good value. I would say that it's more like if you bought it. I don't necessarily, if you bought it and you use the features and you adjust settings accordingly, I think you could make this card last a long time, and I think you could really benefit from the multi-frame generation, especially for new releases that might come out and not really, have. I think that this is really good for those games that have really bad 1% lows. And we all know that they exist. I mean, you start playing a game and you've got like these massive, like Hogwarts Legacy has always been a stickler point for me on Nvidia GPUs. No matter what I've tried, it just ran horribly on Nvidia. Multi-frame generation gets rid of all of that. Like, it legit fixes that. I just put a video out the other day. It fixes the freaking constant, just terrible 1% lows that game has when you try to use all the features, or not all the features, but when you're trying to use like ray tracing and you're cranking up the settings and all of that stuff. Like, that game is so damn unstable without frame generation. It's crazy, and it drove me nuts that I would get in that game and I'm like, gosh, man. And we're not talking like 60 class cards, man. We're talking like 3080. 10 gig is the first card that I had when that came out. 4080 Super, 5070 Ti without using frame gen. I actually, with the 5070 Ti is when I found out. Like, I was like, whoa. I turned on the multi-frame generation and it cleaned that crap right up, and I was like, oh my gosh. The one game that like really solidified frame generation for me was Assassin's Creed Shadows. If I didn't have frame generation, that experience would not have been as good as it was for me being able to play that, because I love, when I get into those brand new open worlds, I love exploring. I love looking around. I love stopping and dawdling and looking at things. And frame generation, oh my gosh, it just made that experience good for me. When I turn on Star Wars Outlaws and I turn on multi-frame generation and I'm playing that game, and it just feels so damn smooth that I'm like, wow. I'm playing this game and it just feels smooth. And if you turn off the frame generation and you run that game, it's like 40 frames a second. It's like 40 frames, and you can legit get that thing over 100 plus frames, over 160 frames actually, with enabling multi-frame generation. And being able to like actually use the features, play the game, turning it on to DLSS4 performance mode, and then it still looks incredible, and it runs super smooth. Yes, you get like 60, almost 70 frames if you just turn on the DLSS, but turning on the multi-frame generation to really boost that experience and make it super smooth, why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you? So I guess the moral of this review for the 5060 Ti is, if you find yourself buying this card, I don't think it's a bad card. I don't think it's a super bad. I don't think it's a super bad purchase. And I'm not really at the point where I'm like, I'm going to try to pretend what your finances are. So I don't regret buying mine. And I paid like $579 for it. So it's one of those things where it's like, if this was the only card I had, I would be enjoying it. I guess that's basically what I'm saying. If this was the card that I bought this generation, and because if I look at it from what my 3060 Ti was, this experience from that card to this card, that was the last 60 series card that I had with Nvidia. Significantly better, especially with multi-frame generation and all of that. Significantly better experience. If this was my upgrade path from 3060 Ti to this one, yeah, I'd be happy with it. I would be happy with it. The fact that I can push into 4K if I want to, and play on 4K. The fact that I can run games like Stalker 2 with frame generation, I like that experience for some reason. For some reason, it's actually vibing with me really good. Really good. Frame generation, I am vibing with very well. It's actually really good for me, to be completely honest with you. I like the smoothness I like the smoothness. I like to take my time. And for fast-paced games, it still works just great. Because when I'm immersed in the game, the little problems or the little issues that frame generation brings with it, as long as it feels good while I'm playing on a controller, I'm not having a problem with it. I'm not having a problem with it at all. So yeah, I definitely think the 5060 Ti is a good card. If I would have bought that and this was my card right now, I'd actually probably be pretty happy with this. I would actually be pretty happy with this, being able to play some of these games at 4K and stuff, because let's face it, I probably would be trying to do that. But 3440 by 1440p so far, image quality, absolutely incredible. This is probably, in my opinion, the best Nvidia GPU generation that I've been through yet. And I started in the 30 series, I bought 40 series cards, and yeah, I really like Blackwell. I do. I think it's incredible. So if you guys like this content, do not forget to like and subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you so much for watching.